Your love makes me strong. Your hate makes me unstoppable.
Wow, it creates a really visceral reaction just hearing it, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, it's not the kind of thing you expect to hear from a modern media-trained superstar. Usually, they say things like, oh, I just want to help the team, or we'll do our best. But this is something else entirely. It's combative. It's almost mythological.
It is. And honestly, it's the perfect thesis statement for the man we're unpacking today. It really captures the fundamental duality of his existence.
Yeah.
On one side, you have the love, right? The adoration, the tens of millions of fans, the statues, the brand. That's the fuel that lifts him up.
But then there's the other side, the hate, the friction, the polarization. And what I find so fascinating about that quote is that he doesn't say he ignores the hate. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say, I block out the noise. He says the hate makes him unstoppable.
Exactly. He's telling us that the negativity isn't a hindrance, it's a battery. He metabolizes conflict into performance.
Which is a terrifying thought if you're playing against him.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. Today, we aren't just looking at a footballer. We are looking at a phenomenon. We are unpacking the life, the career, and the absolute statistical absurdity of Cristiano Ronaldo.
And I want to be clear right off the bat, if you're tuning in expecting a standard sports recap where we just list off match scores from 2009, you're in the wrong place. We are interested in the trajectory here. We want to understand how a boy from a working-class background in Madeira, an island famously detached from the mainland, became, quite literally, the world's most famous athlete.
And the highest paid, depending on which year you look at the ledgers.
That too. But the mission for this deep dive is to look at the how. How do you go from getting expelled from school in San Antonio to rewriting the record books of European football? We want to identify the pivot points, the massive gambles, and those moments where the career could have gone off the rails, but instead it went stratospheric. Stratospheric is really the only word for it. We've got a stack of notes here detailing his early life, the transition between clubs, the international redemption arc, and the financial empire. So get comfortable, because we are going to break down the anomaly that is CR7.
Let's start at the very beginning, because the geography really matters here.
It does. Born February 5th, 1985, Santo Antonio. This is in Madeira, Portugal. Now, for those who haven't been there, Madeira isn't Lisbon. It's an island out in the Atlantic. It's beautiful, but it can also be incredibly isolating. And the picture we have of his family life from the source material is, well, it's not the life of a prince.
Far from it. It's humble. To understand the drive he has today, you have to look at the socioeconomic context he was born into. His father, Jose Diniz Aveiro, was a gardener for the municipality. His mother, Maria Dolores de Santos Aveiro, was a cook.
A gardener and a cook. That's classic, hardworking, blue-collar stock.
It is. And it implies a childhood where absolutely nothing was handed to him. There's a certain grit that comes from that environment. You weren't growing up in a shiny academy system with nutritionists and sports psychologists from age 5. You're growing up in a place where resources are likely finite. You learn the value of things very quickly.
And clearly he had energy to burn, because there is this one story in the biography that I have to pause on. It's what I call the chair incident.
Yes. The expulsion.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I feel like this is a crucial window into his psychology. The records show Ronaldo was expelled from school, and the reason wasn't truancy or, smoking behind the bike sheds. He assaulted a teacher by, and I'm not making this up, throwing a chair at him.
It's a shocking detail when you first hear it.
It's wild. I mean, imagine the scene. We are talking about a child here, a student, picking up a piece of furniture and launching it at an authority figure. What does that tell us about his temperament back then?
Well, it's multifaceted. On one level, obviously, it's a major behavioral issue. It shows a complete lack of emotional control, a flashpoint of aggression. But if we try to connect this to the athlete he became, it also hints at a refusal to be disrespected.
How so?
We don't know the exact context of the argument, but throwing a chair it's an extreme reaction to authority. It's a total rejection of the hierarchy. In a school setting, you sit down, you listen, you do what you're told. He essentially said, no, I will not submit to this.
It's rebellious.
It is intensely rebellious. And in a structured environment like a school, that gets you expelled. It destroys your academic future. But here's the thing about elite sports. Sometimes that same fire, if you can harness it, is exactly what you need.
Right. If he just keeps throwing chairs, he ends up in jail or working odd jobs. But if he takes that anger, that refusal to accept the status quo, and puts it into a ball?
Exactly. In the hyper-competitive world of professional sports, that unstoppable drive he talks about often comes from a place of conflict. It comes from a massive chip on the shoulder.
That's the key, isn't it? Channeling it. Because there's a pivot point that happens right after this expulsion. It's almost cinematic. The notes say that at age 14, he made a definitive decision.
This is the first major gamble of his life. And I don't use the word gamble lightly here.
He decides to concentrate solely on becoming a professional footballer. At 14.
Think about the magnitude of that risk. He's just been kicked out of school. The traditional path of grades, university, a steady job that is closing. Most parents would be panicking. They'd be trying to get him into a trade school or finding a way to get him back into the classroom.
But he goes the other way. He doubles down.
He pushes all his chips in the middle of the table. He's effectively saying, education in the traditional sense is not my path. This game is my path.
It's an all-or-nothing mindset.
Precisely. And that's a theme we are going to see recur throughout his career. He doesn't do things by halves. He didn't just want to play football. He wanted to be a professional. He had always been a keen amateur, kicking a ball around the streets of Madeira, but this was the moment it shifted from a hobby to a career objective. It was a business decision made by a teenager.
And honestly, it's a decision that fails for 99.9% of kids who make it. We only hear about it because it worked for him. But imagine the pressure on a 14-year-old knowing, I have no backup plan. I have to make this work.
It forces a level of maturity, or at least a level of hyper-focus, that most kids simply don't have.
So he has the focus. He has the aggression. Now he needs a team. By 1995, he's already joined a club, right?
Right. He started with National.
Yeah.
This is a club right there in his hometown of Madeira. It's a respectable club, but it's local. It was his first stepping stone. But like we said earlier, Madeira is an island. The pond was too small for the shark.
So he has to move to the mainland.
He joined Sporting CP.
Now, we need to contextualize Sporting CP for people who might only watch the World Cup and aren't familiar with the Portuguese domestic leagues.
Sporting is royalty in Portugal. They are one of the big three clubs. They have a history of developing incredible talent. Luis Figo came through there, for example. It's an institution. For a kid from Madeira, getting into Sporting is like getting into Harvard.
And he didn't just walk in, he had to clear a trial.
Which implies he had to prove himself immediately. Picture this. He's the kid from the island. He probably has a thick Madeiran accent that the city kids in Lisbon might make fun of. He's alone, away from his family, and he has to show up at this trial and prove he belongs.
It's a total sink or swim moment.
And he didn't just swim, he practically walked on water. The biographical data highlights a really interesting progression here. It says, during his time at Sporting CP, he played for all the levels.
What does that mean exactly? All the levels?
Usually in a football academy, you play with your age group. You spend a year with the under-16s. Then, if you're good, you move to the under-17s the next year. It's a slow, steady climb.
But Ronaldo.
He played for the under-16, under-17, under-18, the B team, and the first team, all in a blistering time frame. The progression was vertical. It shows that he was outgrowing his peers almost as fast as the coaches could promote him. He was solving the puzzle of youth football faster than anyone else.
So he's skyrocketing through the system at Sporting. He's making a name for himself in Portugal. But then comes the moment, the audition.
August 2003.
This is one of those moments that divides his life into before and after.
It really is. Sporting CP plays a friendly match against Manchester United.
And we have to remember who Manchester United were in 2003. They weren't just a football team, they were a global empire.
They were titans. They had just dominated the English Premier League for a decade. They were fast, physical, and scary.
Yeah.
And at the helm, you had Sir Alex Ferguson.
The boss, the most successful manager in British history.
A man who had seen everything. It takes a lot to impress Alex Ferguson. He's not easily swayed by a few fancy tricks from a teenager. The story goes, and the records confirm this, that Ferguson was so impressed by Ronaldo's performance in this one single game that he decided he couldn't leave Portugal without him.
I love that image. It's literally like an actor walking into an audition, reading 3 lines, and the director says, cast him, cancel the other auditions, get him on the plane.
It really was that instantaneous. There was no, let's scout him for another 6 months. No, let's wait until the transfer window in January. The data says Ferguson brought him to the club in the same year. It was immediate.
Why? What did he see?
He saw the raw potential. He saw a winger who wasn't afraid to run at experienced defenders. He saw speed, he saw technique, but mostly I think he saw that same fearlessness we talked about with the chair. He saw a teenager who looked at Manchester United and thought, I could beat these guys.
So 2003, he lands in Manchester. He's 18 years old. He's coming from the Portuguese league, which is highly technical and a bit slower, to the English Premier League.
Which is a war zone.
Exactly. It's known for being incredibly physical, fast, and unforgiving. Defenders in England in 2003 didn't take kindly to teenagers doing stepovers. They would try to kick you off the park. How does he handle it?
Well, looking at the stats, it wasn't an overnight explosion of goals. In his first season, he scored 3 goals in the league.
3 goals, okay. So if you were just looking at the stat sheet, you might think, he's okay.
Right. He wasn't setting the world on fire in terms of raw output yet. He was what we call a show pony in the beginning. Lots of tricks, lots of flair, but sometimes lacking the final product.
But clearly something shifted, because when we look at his total time at United from 2003 to 2009, the numbers tell a story of total transformation.
84 goals in 196 league games.
That is a very respectable return for a winger.
It's excellent, but the aggregate number hides the curve. The last 3 years of that stint were where he went from good to God tier. The notes mention that he became one of the best players in the world during this stint. This wasn't just about accumulation, it was about dominance.
And the hardware proved it. 2008.
The Ballon d'Or.
We throw that term around a lot, but we should probably explain what it means for the casual listener.
The Ballon d'Or is the golden ball. It is the award given to the single best player on the planet for that year. It's not like the MVP award in American sports where it's league specific. This is global. It means you are better than every player in Brazil, every player in Italy, every player in Spain.
And he won his first one in 2008.
Exactly. Think about that journey. 1999, he's throwing a chair. 2003, he's an unproven teenager. 2008, he is officially the best player on earth.
The project was complete.
In a way, yes. He had reached the summit.
And he wasn't just doing it for the club, he was doing it for his country too, right?
He was. The source mentions the 2006 World Cup.
That was in Germany.
Right. And he was an integral part of the team that reached the semifinals. Portugal is a small nation. Getting to the semifinals of the World Cup is a massive achievement.
And by 2007, he was named captain of the national team.
Captain at what, 22?
Around that age, yes. Which again speaks to that rapid acceleration. He wasn't just a talented player, he was the leader. He was the face of the nation.
So picture the scene in 2009. You are Cristiano Ronaldo. You are sitting on top of the world. You are the star of Manchester United, the biggest club in England. You've won the Ballon d'Or. You are the captain of your country. Most people would say, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I'm staying right here to build a statue.
But Ronaldo isn't most people. Comfort seems to be his enemy.
And this brings us to the transfer that shook the tectonic plates of football.
The galactic transfer.
Real Madrid comes calling.
Now, Real Madrid is, how do we describe them? They are the Hollywood of football. They are the glitter and the glamour.
They are the Galacticos. They pride themselves on having the biggest stars. And they wanted the biggest star of them all.
The number attached to this move is staggering. 80 million pounds.
We have to contextualize that. In today's market, where players go for 100 or 200 million, it might seem normal.
Yeah.
But in 2009, that was an alien number. It shattered the world record.
It made him the most expensive player in the history of the sport.
I want to pause on the psychology of that.
Yeah.
Imagine the weight of that price tag. 80 million pounds. Every time you touch the ball, people are judging you against that number. If you go to Madrid and you don't perform, you aren't just a flop, you are a historic, expensive failure.
And Real Madrid fans, they aren't exactly known for their patience, are they?
Not at all. The Bernabeu crowd is the most demanding in the world. They will whistle their own players if they don't like what they see. If you cost a world record fee, they expect world record performances from day one.
So the stage is set. The pressure is maximum. Did he deliver?
Oh, he didn't just deliver. He obliterated the expectations.
Let's look at the immediate impact. First season.
33 goals.
33! In a debut season, in a new league, with new teammates.
It's immense. For most strikers, 20 goals is a great season. 30 is world class. He did 33 while settling in.
But the second season, he accelerates again.
The notes say he ended the Spanish league season with 40 goals.
40 goals in a single league season.
Which, as the data points out, was a record in the league's history at that time. He didn't just join the league, he broke it.
That is absurd. So he justifies the price tag basically within 24 months.
Absolutely.
Right.
And this kicks off what I like to call the era of statistical dominance. The numbers from this point on, They almost stop making sense. They look like video game numbers. They look like someone is playing on beginner mode.
Let's walk through the peak years. The outline highlights 2011 to 2012.
Right. So in 2012, he wins the Spanish league title, his first with Real Madrid. That's the team achievement. But look at the individual stat line for that season. 60 goals in all competitions.
60. 6-0.
In one season.
I want to try and wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
A season is usually what, 50 or 55 games if you go deep in tournaments?
Exactly.
So if you score 60 goals...
You are averaging significantly more than a goal a game. Every time you step on a pitch, statistically, you are guaranteed to score.
That breaks the logic of the sport. Football is a low-scoring game. It's not basketball. Seeing a 1-0 or a 2-1 is normal. For one guy to score 60.
It changed the paradigm. Above Ronaldo and Messi, who we have to acknowledge as the other half of this era, scoring 30 goals was the benchmark for a legend. Suddenly, 30 looked like a bad year.
And he didn't stop. The next season, 2013,
51 goals.
he's just printing goals at this point. It became routine.
And that's the danger. We get desensitized to it. We hear 51 goals and think, oh, just another Ronaldo season. But we have to remind ourselves how abnormal this is.
There is a specific stat in the notes about the Champions League that blew my mind.
The 17 goals record.
Yes, 17 goals in a single season of the Champions League.
We need to explain the Champions League to understand why this is so insane. This isn't beating up on weak teams in a lower division. The Champions League is the elite of the elite. You are playing the champions of Germany, the champions of Italy, the champions of England.
The defenses are tighter, the tactics are more sophisticated, the pressure is higher.
Exactly. It's a knockout tournament. And he put 17 past the best defenses in Europe in one campaign. That is the highest score ever in a single season of that tournament.
And his total in the tournament at the time of this source material was 89 goals.
Which puts him in the pantheon of the all-time greats. He's essentially the king of Europe.
There's another speed record here I want to highlight. The fastest player to reach 200 goals in the Spanish league.
This is a perfect example of that ratio we were talking about. He reached 200 goals in 178 games.
Wait, let me do the math there. 200 goals in 178 games.
That means he was averaging more than one goal every single time he stepped on the pitch for an extended period of years.
That shouldn't be possible. Defenses are supposed to adapt. Teams are supposed to double team you. Managers spend all week planning how to stop you.
They did double team him. They did plan. That's the crazy part. Everyone knew he was the danger man. Everyone knew the ball was going to Ronaldo. And they still couldn't stop him. Hence the unstoppable quote we started with.
It's sheer brute force of will. And we haven't even mentioned the hat tricks.
The hat tricks. A hat trick is scoring 3 goals in a single game. It's the holy grail for a striker. Most players dream of scoring 1 in their career.
What does the record say?
The source lists a record 34 La Liga hat tricks.
34 times he took the match ball home.
Correct. And in the 2014 to 2015 season alone, he scored 8 hat tricks.
8 hat tricks in one season. That's basically once a month he's dropping 3 goals on someone.
It's relentless. That's the only word for it. It's a relentless accumulation of data points that prove he is an anomaly.
So let's take a breath. On the club level, Manchester United, Real Madrid, he is a god. He's untouchable. He's breaking records that have stood for decades.
But the story isn't a straight line. Because while he was conquering Europe with his clubs, the story with his country, that was a bit more complicated.
Right. This is the international duty section, the captain's journey, because it wasn't all sunshine and roses.
No. The narrative arc for Portugal is much more dramatic. It has deep valleys before it reaches the peak.
We mentioned the 2006 World Cup where they hit the semifinals. That was a high.
In 2010, he led them as captain in South Africa.
But then we hit the low point. The notes specifically point out the 2014 World Cup in Brazil.
This was supposed to be his moment. He was at the peak of his powers with Real Madrid. He had just won the Ballon d'Or. But the tournament was a disaster.
What happened?
Portugal was knocked out in the first round, the group stage. They didn't even make it to the knockouts. For a player of his stature, captaining the team, that is a humiliation.
And his personal contribution.
He scored only 1 goal.
Ouch. That must have fueled the critics. You know what they say. He can do it for Madrid with all the expensive teammates, but he can't do it for Portugal when it really counts.
That was exactly the narrative. He's a club player. He cares more about his brand than his country. It must have been incredibly frustrating for him.
But the story doesn't end in the group stages of Brazil. And this is the redemption arc I love. Fast forward 2 years. 2016.
The Euro 2016 in France.
This is the moment.
It is. We have to understand the history here. Portugal had never won a major tournament. Never. They had Eusebio in the 60s. They had the golden generation with Figo and Rui Costa in the 90s and early 2000s, but they never lifted the trophy. They were the nearly men of Europe.
And Ronaldo leads them there.
He leads them to their first ever triumph. It was gritty. It wasn't always pretty football, but they found a way to win.
And the notes mention he received the silver boot.
That means he was the second highest goal scorer of the whole tournament. So he wasn't a passenger. He drove that bus to the final.
And winning that trophy, that changes the legacy, doesn't it?
Completely. It silences the "he can't win with Portugal" argument forever. He delivered the one thing no one else could.
And the accolades followed. The source says he was named the best Portuguese player of all time by the Federation in 2015.
Which is a massive statement, considering Eusebio is a god in Portugal. But Ronaldo surpassed him.
And he owns the record book.
Most capped Portuguese player, with over 140 caps. Highest goal scorer, over 50 goals at the time of these notes. He is the standard by which all future Portuguese players will be measured.
So we've covered the club dominance, we've covered the international redemption. Now we have to talk about the result of all this success, the trophy cabinet.
It's crowded. I hope he has a large house.
We mentioned the 2008 Ballon d'Or, but he didn't stop there.
No. The list includes 5 total Ballon d'Or wins. 2008, 2013, 2014, 2016, and 2017.
5 times named the best player in the world. And notice the gaps there. He won in 2008 and then had to wait until 2013 to get it back.
That is a crucial detail, that 5-year gap. That was the period where Messi was winning everything. People thought Ronaldo's time as number 1 was over. They thought he'd peaked.
But he fought back.
He fought back. To lose the title of best in the world and then wrestle it back 5 years later, that shows incredible mental resilience. He also won the FIFA World Player of the Year in 2013 and 2014.
And all this winning on the pitch translates to something very specific off the pitch.
The empire.
The notes mention Forbes.
Yes. In 2016 and 2017, Forbes ranked him the world's highest paid athlete.
I want to stress that distinction. Not just the highest paid footballer, the highest paid athlete.
That means he was earning more than LeBron James, more than Roger Federer, more than Tiger Woods. He was the financial king of the sports world.
And ESPN ranked him the world's most famous athlete in those same years.
So he transcends the sport. He isn't just a guy who kicks a ball, he's a global brand. He's a logo. CR7 is a business.
We see glimpses of that celebrity lifestyle in the notes too.
The relationships. It mentions Gemma Atkinson, Alice Goodwin.
And the significant one, the 5-year relationship with Russian supermodel Irina Shayk from 2010 to 2015.
That was a relationship that put him on the covers of Vogue, not just Sports Illustrated. It cemented his status as a pop culture icon.
And he's a father. The notes mention 2 sons, Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. and Matteo Ronaldo.
So you have the father, the celebrity, the icon, the businessman, the athlete. It's a lot for one person to carry.
It is. But bringing it back to where we started, remember that quote. Your love makes me strong. Your hate makes me unstoppable.
It feels like he built an armor out of that success.
Yeah.
Every trophy, every record, every million in the bank, it's all proof that he was right and the doubters were wrong.
I think that's a great way to put it. He turned the friction into a fortress.
Exactly.
So let's try to summarize this journey, because when you step back and look at the whole picture, it's staggering. We start with the gardener's son in San Antonio.
Working class background, finite resources.
Who throws a chair at a teacher because he has too much fire and too much pride to be disrespected.
A pivot point of aggression. A sign of a volatile temperament.
Who drops out of school at 14, a massive life gamble, to bet his entire existence on kicking a ball.
An all-or-nothing wager that should have failed but didn't.
Who gets spotted by Ferguson, conquers England, moves to Spain for a record fee that would crush a normal person.
And instead of being crushed, he scores goals at a rate that defies mathematics. 60 goals a season, 17 in the Champions League.
And finally, he delivers the one thing his country had been waiting 50 years for. A major trophy.
Yeah, it is, quite simply, one of the greatest individual careers in the history of sports. Not just football, sports.
And the key takeaway, what do we learn from this? Because we aren't all going to be professional footballers.
For me, it's about the correlation between that mindset, the unstoppable nature, and the output. We tend to look at the goals and think they are magic. We think he was just touched by God. But the biography suggests they are the result of a very specific, very aggressive ambition. He turned that chair-throwing energy into a mechanism for breaking records. He took his anger, his pride, and his need to be the best, and he channeled it into training, into diet, into performance.
It's the alchemy of aggression into ambition.
Beautifully said. He didn't get rid of the chip on his shoulder. He used it as an engine.
So here is the final thought I want to leave you with today. We often talk about greatness as something pure, something angelic. We want our heroes to be nice, humble, smiling.
Right. We want the fairy tale.
But looking at Ronaldo's story, the hate he references, the friction, the chip on his shoulder, the expulsion, it begs the question, does greatness require that conflict?
That is the question. Could he have scored 60 goals in a season if he felt loved by everyone, if he was comfortable? Or did he need the hate? Did he need the enemies to reach that level of dominance?
Is conflict the necessary fuel for this level of success? It's something to mull over. Maybe the nice guys really do finish last. A fascinating deep dive into a fascinating mind. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of a legend. We will catch you on the next one.